For those of you who have just tuned in, welcome to the Ladies Room. We talk about everything from dating, sex and relationships, marriage to finances and healthy living. We also talk about a lot of societal issues and Black and female relationships. Hit the like button and share. Don't forget to subscribe. All right. So, our next topic, the idea of the strong Black woman. Where does it come from? Is it needed or harmful today? What do you guys think? Who likes to chime in first?
I don't know where it necessarily came from because Black women have been strong Black women since I don't know. Whenever I think of like Sojourner Truth or something like that, which is pretty far back. But her, Phyllis Wheatley, women like that, they were pretty strong Black women, and it wasn't about not needing no man and whatever the end result is now, I guess. But I mean, even then, that sounded like it came from a place of defense. Went through a whole crack epidemic of mass incarceration. So if you're coming from a family where that woman was the breadwinner and the protector provider, all those things, I could see her being a little jaded, if that's where we're going with that. But I don't know. I wouldn't say it's harmful because, like I said, Sojourner Truth and Phyllis Wheatley is who I think about when I think of like strong Black women. But now, I don't know. Maybe it's changed now. Now all strong Black women. I don't know. Maybe that's a boss babe now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing in the world. No.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think, Dara? What do you think?
So we can go all the way back to the slavery days and what it started with. I think that's where it originated from. Why Black women have to be this strong woman because they were. Have anybody read the Willy Lynch letter?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that in it.
That it was a fraud, though. Is that true? Like, I wasn't quite sure if it was a fraud.
Well, if it wasn't a fraud, I know some of the things that was in the Willy Lynch letter was happening, and I'm pretty sure that's has a big reason on why women, and I wouldn't even you can call it being strong, but they've been conditioned to act in a certain way, right? When you're taking someone's kids from them and you're doing things to their son, of course a woman is going to protect her other offsprings in a certain way that's going to make her look like she's the strong Black woman, and of course she is, right? So that's one reason I think we have the strong Black woman. And then of course there's a lot of different episodes that's happening in the world to get these women in the mindset that they have to be the strong Black woman. When men have to go to war, the woman has to step up. When Black men was getting incarcerated, women have to step up. Crack came on the scene, police killing us, women have to step up. So it's a lot of things that make a woman become a strong Black woman. And it's just unfortunate that a lot of people don't see it, that when a man goes to jail, that woman takes more of the burden than that man. And a lot of people always be like, oh, he in jail, he locked up, XYZ. No, but hey, that woman is out there raising his kid alone. And then she has to figure out how to raise a man without disrespecting that man in jail, right? Because women tend to hold on to their relationships when they're in jail, right? So they don't want to bring in another man that's going to be disrespectful to that man. And for me, I'm like, hey, do what you got to do. Go if you got to get another boyfriend that's going to step in and raise your son, or a uncle, or whatever the case may be. Do it, So it's hard on a Black woman trying to. I don't know I don't know actually where it came from, but I know it's a lot of things that made it put the women in that mentality that they have to be the strong Black woman for their man, for their kids, for their friends, for their family, for whoever. When a woman is growing up 11 years old, they taking care of siblings. I never heard a lot of men at 11 years old cooking and cleaning, changing Pampers for the siblings and stuff like that. It's mostly the woman. So, and I think that's because men just expect women to be all of that and more. Women have a lot on their plate that a lot of men just don't think is a big important factor as far as living.
What do you think, Mrs. Jovo?
When I think of that whole term strong black woman, and I think of now that I am at the age that I'm at and the profession that I am in, I think of vulnerability as being strong. I think before, black women being strong was just about enduring and carrying all this weight on our shoulders. And I think in later years, we know that we're human. We bleed like everybody else bleeds. We cry like everybody else cries. We're emotional. We're allowed to be that way. And then the first question behind that is, why do we need to get permission to be vulnerable? Why can't we just fall in that same category with everyone else? I grew up with strong black women, and it was a blessing and it was a curse, because it was just like you saw women who they did it all, and then you saw them not ask for a lot of help and support and tap into resources and think outside the box. You saw women who, I remember looking at one of my aunts, who at the time was a single mother. She worked in a factory, and I would just watch her sometimes, like, come out for work, and she would just be like tired. Like, she could just drop right there and just dead tired. And it's like, why does she have to carry all that by herself? They have a dad. Why does she have to do all that by herself? And it's like, well, she's a strong black woman. We do what we got to do. But can we do what we got to do and learn how to ask for help at the same time? So I think it's a term that's always evolving and changing. And I don't think that it's a dead set definition. But I do think that it doesn't need to be kept in a box. Because my strong black woman story might be different from, misunderstandings, or it might be different from canons. I think it's just, to put in words, being a strong black woman, for me, I don't think it's dangerous. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's how you define strong and black. Strong is not always doing everything on your own and by yourself. Strong can be being resourceful or working smarter versus harder, cutting corners. That can be strong too. So I don't think I think it's just how we look at it and how we define it. And I know we've had the conversation on the show before about, are black women allowed to, find men attractive? Can we go off of looks? Do we have the same rights as other women to look at the dating scene and the relationship scene as other races of women do? Why do we have to be kind of held to this certain standard where we have this whole laundry list of things that we're not allowed to do? For me, depending upon how you look at it, being strong in that sense can create a lot of anxiety. And it's like, do I really know myself? Do I really know who I am? Because I'm trying to live towards this standard. So I don't think it's something that you can contain in a box or define. I think it's always evolving and changing. And I don't think it's dangerous. I think it's what you make it.
Okay. Thank you. All right. What do you think, Cannon? Cannon, did I talk to you already?
No.
Go ahead, Cannon.
No. I think that when we think about the trope or the idea of the strong black woman, I can't necessarily say whether or not it's dangerous or not, but I will say that it, in a lot of ways, can be very detrimental and that it could be very damaging. The idea of a strong black woman in the way that I understand it to be. And the reason why I say is because you can have this idea and put this pressure on yourself, especially as a black woman, that you are supposed to endure. You are supposed to put everybody else's needs ahead of your own. When the worst things possible happen, you just have to pick up, keep going, keep moving. Vulnerability is seen as a weakness. right? You feel like a failure if you're vulnerable because you're supposed to be strong. Like, are you are you really even a black woman if you like vulnerable and you like breaking down or you having a hard time? Like, what does that even look like? One thing for me that I had to learn over the years is just how damaging that idea can be, because I did grow up in a time with at least two generations of black women that you can call the epitome of that strong black woman idea, right? That's definitely how I was raised. That's definitely what the expectation was, that you don't have time to stop. You don't have time to be sad. You don't have time to, pity yourself, or you don't have time to do any of those things. You gotta go. You just gotta go. It doesn't matter. And you have to also, while you're doing it, take care of those around you. Like, that's your responsibility. Like, if you don't do it, then all of this falls apart, because there's no one else who can handle it. Like, there's no one else who could do it. If you don't take care of it, who's going to take care of it? So if everything falls apart, it's your fault, because you wasn't strong enough, because you couldn't handle it, because you didn't do it. And it took me a long time to get out of that. And after a while, when I realized that that's what was even happening, I got angry. I was very angry that was even like the expectation, that there was a certain level of vulnerability that I was being denied. Like, people would even say, like, oh, well, what do you mean you having a hard time? Or what do you mean you struggling with this? You're so strong. But you're such a strong person. Like, what does that even mean? like I don't understand. Like, I can't struggle. I can't have a hard time. I can't fail. I can't, I can't. And then, like, to Miss Jovo's point, when she was saying ask for help, the problem is a lot of times there is no help to be had. Like, you ask for help, but from who? People don't think you need any help. Why do you need help? You got it. You good. You strong. I need your help. What you coming to me for help for? You got to help me. So, like, that is the problem. And like, and it's a huge problem. So I think about, because when I see a lot of these talking points and stuff like that right now, what I wonder, because I know what I saw growing up, and I know that that's a very small sample size of reality. I never use my personal experience to say this is generally what the case is. But what stood out to me, because there's things that I read, there's things that I've seen, there's tropes that I have seen in movies, and different things that would, conversations that I have had with people. And a lot of the narratives that I've seen online recently, I'm like, how did these people grow up? Like, where did this idea come from that black women are selfish and, and don't care about nobody and materialistic? Like, where did this come from? And I started to think that, I think that this may be a recent invention. And I think that it may be a recent invention because maybe a lot of black women like myself, once we have come of age, we stopped doing a lot of that shit. I know that I did start prioritizing myself. And a lot of people were upset about it. A lot of people were angry. And they will call you selfish. And they will say, oh, you're not thinking about the greater good of everybody else. You're not thinking about the greater good of the family. Like all of these other things. And I was like, you know what? Maybe that is accurate. Maybe people are seeing a shift and they don't like it. They wanted to go back to, no, you have to carry the weight of this. I don't want to share the weight. I don't want to do none of that. This is your responsibility. And then I was thinking, like, maybe that's the case. Because, like I say, I know when I was growing up, it was the women mostly that you was able to depend on, and the women that was carrying a lot of the stuff and doing a lot of the things. So I just don't know where this idea came from, like, oh, you're selfish and doing all those other things. But that's a charge that's been lobbied at me, like I say, personally. But that wasn't until after I started saying no. It wasn't until I started not taking on so much responsibility. It was after I started being like, you know what, I cannot break. I'm not about to put all of this pressure on myself. I'm not about to do it. If I don't want to, I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to feel guilty about it. And I'm not going to feel like I'm somehow a failure or I failed or whatever. Because what I realized at the end of the day, if I'm not even able to take care of myself, then I definitely can't take care of anybody else. So I'm not going to stretch myself so thin trying to help other people to my detriment.